I'm excited to share the following conversation with you. It's about creativity, heartbreak, and laughter, all of the components of real life and how it impacts your leadership. Today, I'm talking to Tracie Mendoza, co owner and COO of Pear Analytics. Over the years, Tracie has done a little of this and a little of that, from comedy to retail management to education, consulting, recruiting, just to name some few. But Tracie finally landed in the sales field. And this was no surprise to those around her because in kindergarten, she actually had a line form around the building because she was charging people a whole quarter to color in her Pink Panther coloring book. She's always had an entrepreneurial spirit and a go getter mentality and sets out to accomplish whatever she puts her mind to. Tracie graduated from Dallas Baptist University, where she got a BAS in communication and theology and an MALA in both fine arts and history. When not leading a team, building a business, and working hand in hand with her clients, you can find her shopping, traveling, playing with her pups, and of course, always making people laugh. Welcome back, friends. This is your place for cutting edge tools, exercises, best practices, and modern leadership strategies. Because when the world is changing, it's time to bring our leadership styles along for the ride. Whether you're a company leader, a corporate visionary, an entrepreneur, this show gives you new insights into the neuroscience and the language of leadership, plus practical steps and tips to lead your teams in a powerful way. It'll also help you keep your people happy and engaged, all while achieving your biggest goals. I'm your host, Jen Thornton. I'm a talent strategist, a brain-based executive coach, speaker, and the founder of 304 Coaching. Now let's fix leadership. So hi, Tracie, and welcome to the show.
Well, hello. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
I know it's going to be a fun show. Tracie and I have known each other for a few years. We worked together in a past life and have been able to stay friends and support each other through all of our chapters of life. We'll call them chapters of life. In fact, we're going to talk about some of those chapters today. But before we jump into our conversation, I'd love for you to tell the audience about your work. What do you do when you get up every morning? What's your work?
My work. Well, what do they always say? Like, find something you love doing and it doesn't feel like work. So that's me now. I am in digital marketing and have been for the last 8-9 years. So it's been amazing. And I joined my now business partner in his endeavor, and we joined forces, and it's gone great. So Pear Analytics, that's my business.
Awesome. Well, I wanted you on the show because one of the things I love most about you is how you embrace life and embrace, your family, your friends, your like people you work with. When I think of like living a whole life, I always think of you. And so I wanted to bring that energy and those best practices to our audience. And where I'd love to start is you're a very creative person, and that shows up in a lot of ways. You can tell us all about that. But tell us, what type of creativity do you enjoy doing outside of work? And why is it important for you to balance your creative mind with your work mind?
Yeah, sure. So for me, creativity can mean a lot of things, right? It's because basically that's sort of, I always tell everybody in my family, you either have a bunch of officers or a bunch of artists. I mean, there's really like no in between at this point. So artists meaning anybody who can paint and draw to somebody like myself who just loves to stand in front of an audience and be funny and, make people laugh and, turn your sorrows into joy. That's kind of, one of the things I really love to do. But being creative nowadays, I do things like whether it's cooking and, trying to pretend like I'm, Gordon Ramsay, or to planning parties and events. That's something I love to do. And I kind of do overkill, and I'm usually getting in trouble for that. But I can't stop once it starts. It just flows and I want to keep going. So, and then, just learning new things. I love to learn new things. I love to just research and try something new. And some people may call it, hey, jack of all trades, master of none. But I think that's fun. Like, I may not have mastered all of this stuff, but at least I dabbled and had fun doing it. And now, okay, what's next? So that's sort of some of the things I do when I'm not working.
You're not, working. As we talk about, it's all smushy. Our lives have intertwined. So one of the things you talked about through creativity is really that innovation. Like, for example, you said, when you are planning an event, a party, like your ideas get ahead of you and you just, go, do all these things. Why do you think that using a creative part of your brain actually creates innovation for people?
Well, I think that, it's pretty, I think about, okay, let's take it back for a second. Back in the day, even in the chapter of life we met in, you go to work, you go to the building, you do the thing, you interact with both clients and employees and all of the stuff. You finish, you clock out, you go home, and it's just like a routine thing, right? And then like you're watching TV, your reality shows, whatever it may be, and you start back over again. And if you're not being creative outside of even your workspace, like how are you going to be creative within your workspace and find the joy in that as well? And I think it really does like make a person whole, because it brings, like you just said, the two worlds together. They intertwine. And when I do like an overflow of like creativity outside of what my normal everyday activities are, it makes me be more creative in my normal everyday activities, because then I get this charge and it feels like I could be doing even this and that. I was thinking the other day, I was making a TikTok of my dog walking, and instantly within 30 seconds, I had 700 views. And I'm like, wait a minute, I need to learn how to TikTok the right way. So I start Googling and YouTubing and trying to, and all the things. And it was fun for the brevity that it was. And when she does something cool again, I'll be ready. So, but then it made me think about my clients and like, hey, from a social aspect, and, how could we even broaden more of what, they need? And, even the digital Google ads or the SEO, whatever it may be, that can really bring to life what they're trying to show their client and customer, right? So it all intertwines.
It all intertwines. We are not two people anymore. We are one. And how
Yes.
we work and be creative and do different things. It's interesting, just even for myself, this year I wanted to see as many concerts as I can. And if anyone's been around me, that I have been like, concert, yes. Like I don't even care who it is. The answer's been yes. But it's been so fun. And I think it was, even for myself, kind of that reminder that you have to go and be around creative things or be creative, or any of those types of things really gives you energy. Even makes me think of, right now we are painting our interior of our house. And, for like several weeks, I was running to the store and getting paint swatches and trying. So like our walls have like the grids, where there's like four colors in every room of the house, those moments. But it gave me so much energy and excitement. And I noticed that I was excited to go run my weekend errands, because that meant I got to stop by the store and look at paint colors too. And so it was interesting. As you talked, it made me think of my own experience about how just small things really help us find, the excitement and energy when we're not just in the grind 24 hours a
I mean,
day.
it does, because even when we moved into this home, we were so used to new builds. So we could kind of go into the design center, pick out everything. Everything was perfect. We moved here and it was like, what did we just buy? And so we literally were like, I was like, I'll fix it. I'll fix it. So, from what it just kind of jarred my memory. Like it was fun. Like every time I turned around, I was like, can you do this? Can you do that? Can we do, and of course it takes money, but it was fun to like be creative in that area and going, what can I find next? I was like you, I was all of a sudden a Home Depot girl. And that was kind of fun for
I
the
know.
moment.
Find new places we love. And so, and you mentioned it very briefly, but those who know and love you also know that you enjoy stand up, that you do stand up. And, why is that exciting for you? And how does that start to impact how you lead when you're, not on the stage, but at work?
One of my biggest things is I always feel you can cure anything with laughter. I don't care what it is. You can cure anything with laughter, because when you're laughing, you're not thinking about the other things, that a million things that are making you want to cry or making you want to stress out, whatever it may be. And I used to tell my audience, the louder you laugh, the funnier I will be. promise.
That's good.
So because that energy stems energy, right? And I did a lot of stand up and sketch, and it was, a lot of improv and witty comments and, wittiness and stuff. And I think that's helped me in my, first and foremost when I started out in sales. And so, you got to be quick, right? You got to be ready to, talk the next thing and be on your toes, be on your feet. So that was the same thing with improv because, you don't want anything to just kind of bloop, fall and people go, why did I pay for this? So being able to really just be quick about things, but mindful, about, I always tell people, know your audience. And it's really the truth. If you don't know your audience, you're always going to fall flat. It's just the way it is. So I think being part of making people laugh, I think it started with my mom. I'll never forget the day my mom found out I was funny. I had been funny my whole life.
Funny.
Yes. And one day I walked in and I was just kicking them one after the other. And she's laughing. And my mom had the best contagious laugh. You wanted her on the front row of your audience. And literally she goes, get out of here. I never knew you were so funny. Get out of here. And I'm like, well, people pay for this. So, it's something that has been with me since my childhood. And I think I come from a family of jokesters and, we don't take things too seriously. We had to have thick skin to be in my family.
Oh, very good. Yeah. And so when you think about growing up and kind of thinking about having that thick skin or being able to find the humor when things aren't humorous, how has that impacted how you lead your team as the COO?
We all went through a very tough time, right? Everybody in the world, not just us, COVID, and things kind of happen and people pull back a little bit, and you start to see some of the now. We started working from home in 2016 before it was cool, so that was nice. We were set up there, so we were already used to this video chatting and all the things. Our clients weren't, so it kind of helped there. They were like, "Oh, this is legit." Okay, so that helped us. But I think, when you have tough times and you may be going through something financially, or you may be thinking like, oh my gosh, we just lost one of our biggest clients because they had to pull back because they're closing their doors or whatever it may be. And you got to keep a positive attitude for the front line, right? Like, you want to be able to be vulnerable with your team, but you also want to be able to filter, and you also just want to look at the bright side of everything, right? And you think about it, and that's kind of the way I'll remember in another life I had where I was like, we need this many, we'll call them apples for the sake of the conversation. We need this many apples for the month. We need this many, and I would have this old calculator and I'd be like, okay, all you need to do is, and they'd be like, you and that old calculator, put it away. No, we can do it. Divided by 3, blah, blah, blah. And all you need is one, and you're good. So you get 2, so it was kind of one of those, you just divvied it up. And that's sort of how I've always looked at everything. I break it down so minute that it doesn't seem so huge and I feel overwhelmed. So I always look at everything, the big picture, and then I just start chopping it away a little at a, and then I chop that away for everybody. So everybody feels a little bit like, and Tracie's laughing, so we can all laugh. It feels good.
Wow.
Yeah, we can't pay rent this month, but no, I'm kidding.
I think you make a really good point in there. It's that, oh, Tracie's laughing, so it's okay. And I think that's a huge piece of leadership. Times are going to be good and times are going to be bad. And our teams look at us and our reaction dictates their reaction. So
100%.
if we are mad and upset and throwing things and screaming and calling, guess what? They're going to be in fear. They're not going to be innovative. But like you said, if you can say, here's how we're going to do it, here's how we're going to break it down, it's okay, and have a sense of creative calm around it, then the team's like, oh, okay. And their fear goes down. Therefore, as fear goes down, everything in our brain that we want to use, all the good stuff, the problem solving, emotional regulation, all that goes up. So it's amazing how something that could seem simple, like, keeping your humor in the workplace actually drives innovation and drives collaborative thought.
Yeah, because I think people just get a little bit more relaxed, like I said, around humor, right? Like people love to laugh. Even I used to do this thing. We went and we were visiting Breckenridge, Colorado before I ever lived in Colorado. And I go out there and my friend, this is back in the day when he had the big camcorders, and he would carry it around, and I go, I have an idea. I have an idea. I said, I'm going to walk up to people and I'm going to say, let me make you laugh. If I make you laugh, I win. If not, I'll give you $2. And then that made them laugh. So literally just going up to people and doing whatever I could to make people laugh so that they, I'm like, aren't you on vacation? You should be smiling, So it's just, I think laughter is contagious. I think that, people can find a little bit more peace in it and serenity. And, I think personally, my journey has always been about servant leadership. And so I always want to be able to serve the people that are with me and get in the trenches per se. But like, let's have a good time doing it. I want to have a good time.
Let's take a quick break from the conversation. Does your company need to prepare those upcoming leaders to take the reins? To learn more about our leadership academies and our coaching, and to see if your company is a good fit for our transformation programs, visit 304coaching.com.
Absolutely. Who doesn't? And, we've been talking about having fun at work and the laughter and the creativity and all that brings for innovation. And there's sometimes that difficult things happen and that makes it harder than others. And you've been through, over the last year, some difficult times. Share what you're comfortable with around that difficult time. And then let's talk about how that has impacted things.
Yeah, absolutely. So in 2021, I lost my mom to a very rare cancer, so rare that I think only 10% of the population would ever get this type of cancer. And so she was a fighter. She was, like I said, my best support system, my snort laugher, my everything, right? The person that I would talk to about anything. I could literally come downstairs and be like, let me tell you what happened today. So I might not be venting to everybody on the team, but I'm telling her, and, we're talking it through. So she was my coach. She's pretty much everything that, encompassing, but we didn't always have that sort of relationship. It was sort of this thing that evolved over time. And, mother-daughter relationships can be a little weird, right? And so I think when I was 25, it just kind of flourished and became this amazing thing. So I'm grateful for that and the time that we had and the time we got back. But definitely one of the most difficult times. And as a business owner, sometimes you don't have time to go, I need a moment to cry. If everybody could just stop what you're doing. I know we're trying to make money over here and get clients, but I need to cry. No, that was not going to happen. And in fact, I think most recently I shared with you that, my mom was literally gone and laying in the bed next to me. My mom would probably snort laugh at this story. And I'm literally telling somebody, like, this is what happened. I get a phone call. Okay, blah, blah. Oh, hey, so-and-so didn't ever show up for work. I'm like, okay. All right, well, this is what we're going to do. So it was kind of like, now I got to go back into, a little bit of work mode, right? So, but the thing for me was going back and I didn't have time to really go, hey, I'm going to take these, next month of bereavement or this next whatever. It was literally like, I hit the ground running. And for me, it was, I had a great support system in regards to some of the people at work. I can think of one in particular that I literally would get on a call with and go, okay, so this is what we're going to do. And this is what's happening. And then all of a sudden I would just be like, and then just start crying. And I'm like, I am so sorry. I don't know. It's okay, Tracie. It's okay, and sort of helping me through that, supporting me through it, and allowing me to be me. The person who was the cheerleader and the laughing and all the things for everybody else, it was really cool to see the table sort of turn and this person kind of be that for me and allow me to be vulnerable because for me, my partner travels all the time. I'm here alone a lot. And, I was just moved into a new neighborhood. So it wasn't like I had a lot of like, oh, and all my friends were in Texas and I was in Colorado. So it wasn't like I had people at my fingertips to go, can you bring me supper? Can you, all the things, it was just kind of like, let's do this thing. So yeah, it was a very vulnerable time for me, but I am so grateful for the foundation I feel that had already been laid for others to be vulnerable and others to have their space and their time with whatever they may have been dealing with, that they were able to give me that in return. when it was time for me to have that kind of moment. So, but what was cool about it was I feel like I spent, because grief happens in waves, right? So, people tell you that and you're like, I don't know what you're talking about. And then all of a sudden you're just sitting there and you're like, I wish my mom was coming to my birthday. Okay, I'm done. All right, next. So you're, why was I crying about that? And so it just comes in these waves. But what I've learned in the last, I would say, probably since March of this year, so 2021, so March of this year is when I had like the coolest breakthrough ever. And it was really about all this time of taking care of so many people, so many things, and everybody else's stuff that I hadn't taken the time to take care of myself. And so I really just started like thinking about me. And, the 40 pounds I gained when my mom passed away, I lost, thank God. And then, I've been doing just a lot of cool self-care stuff and really just learning about what's good for Tracie and what's good, so that I can be better for everybody else, because I was still helping people, but a little wounded in the inside. Right. So, I'm walking around trying to play baseball and run the bases with crutches. And it was literally like, I can do it, but I'm not that great at it. So it's like, how do I lose these crutches and really start running the bases for not just them, but for me to make that home run? So that's kind of where I am in my journey to date. And it's been awesome.
Yeah. I love, there's so many great things that you talk about in there, and authenticity. That's what came to my mind as I hear your story and everything you're doing and what you've been through. And really, beginning of our conversation, we talked about all the fun stuff and the laughter and the creativity. And then we talked about the fact that, my favorite quote is Viola Davis, life and careers happen at the same time. We started talking about not all days are funny, but you have really shared with us about vulnerability as a leader, that when you can have emotions as a leader, when you can be honest with your emotions as a leader, your team is there for you when you need it, and you can be there for them. But again, it goes back to that conversation we've had on some of the previous podcasts about we're whole people. And that wholeness we have to show, and we have to offer it to others. So I love the fact that your team was there for you as much as I know you're always there for them, and that everyone's allowed to be vulnerable and honest about where they are, throughout the day. And I think that's fantastic. And we need more of that in the workplace.
I agree. 100%. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
So that takes us today. You're coming to the end of your year of self-care. So I, can't wait to hear about all the things you close the year out with. But, I'd love to learn more about how all of this actually comes together. And, we've talked about creative and, the emotions and vulnerability and how it spurs new ideas. And you have a new business model that you're launching. So tell us how that idea came to fruition.
Awesome. Yes. So we do. My business partner and I, we founded what's called Pear Tree Companies. And under that umbrella, we have our current company, which is Pear Analytics, and it's digital marketing, custom websites, stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And then what we've learned, though, as we've continued on this business venture with Pear Analytics, is that, and it was one of those aha moments once we moved here and I had to start hiring someone for this and someone for that. And, all of the things. There's a lot of small businesses. And I realized that a lot of small businesses don't really have the financial backing to start something in regards to marketing. And marketing is something that if you're in any business, it's just something you need. A website and marketing. I always tell people, if you have a website and you don't have marketing, it's like having a beautiful Ferrari and it just sits in the garage. So
I like that.
You never get to drive it because you're not driving traffic to your site so that people can see who you are. And so we started another company for smaller business, startup type businesses that is affordable marketing. And it will allow you to grow from the seed. So from a Pyrus to a pear. So currently, we're at Pear Analytics. What we would love to do is help you take your small business and grow it to then go to Pear, because now you've just outgrown Pyrus and wow, you're doing amazing. And that means that together as a partnership, we've done a great job. And we definitely want to launch that particular company by November the 1st. And so right now, it's pyrusdigitalmedia.com. Right now, we're offering to the first 25 people that actually go to that site $250 off. And that is going to get you a lot, trust me, for what we're doing. Like, it's just amazing. Like, I don't know. I've always been for like the startup type, small businesses that are like, just starting out, because man, you have an amazing idea and you've got this awesome concept, and it's really about helping you get it off the ground. So that is something I'm very passionate about. I could talk about that you have another 3 days. Literally, I love when people start businesses. Like, I feel like it's me. It's weird. It's like Christmas. Like, I get so excited. And that was one of the things I did when I moved to San Antonio, was really like help and consult and sales and all of the things for all these types of startups. And it was so much fun, and talking to venture capitalists, all the different things, right? And seeing the marketing come. And so that's one of the reasons why, with that creativity, where it was like, hang on, we need to think about something here. And I'm going to tell you why I'm thinking this. And we both just kind of, it was like, the one thing about Ryan and I will say, we constantly, I'll either say something and he'll go, oh my gosh, I was going to talk to you about that. Or he'll say something and I'll go, oh my gosh, like I was literally going to. So we sort of always seem to be on the same page when it comes to business, for sure. So
it's nice. Not all business partners can say that. So it's fantastic that you two can. And, again, you brought out, when you were hiring people to remodel your house, and you had told us very early in this episode that part of, some creativity was, the home design. And, being in a different type of home, you're always in new homes. This time you're in an older home, gave you new skills, and those new skills sparred those conversations, which sparred an entire new business model. And again, I think that's the full circle of when we are using all parts of our brain, our work brain, our creative brain, things just come to us. And if I'd put you in a room and said, you better come up with a new business model now, you have an hour to do it and it better work, you probably wouldn't have come up with anything. But being a person who lives a whole life allowed you to come up with this incredible idea. And thank you so much for offering the discount to our listeners. And we'll put all of those details in the show notes so that everyone can check that out. So, Tracie, it has been an incredible conversation. We know that you and I could sit here and talk all day about ideas, because we both love ideas. But I just want to thank you so much for your authenticity, your vulnerability, your creative mind, sharing how creativity, really drives your leadership and drives the success of your organization. So thank you so much for joining us today.
Oh, thank you. I really appreciate it, the opportunity. I feel so blessed to be on the show with you. And you're just amazing. My gosh, you're like, let me take this full circle for you. I love the way you just sum it up and bring it together. So thank you for taking all my thoughts and bringing them to where I love that. That's amazing. So.
Well, as a coach, I do that often. That is a skill I have, listening and then finding the full loop. So I'm glad that I was able to use those skills with you today. So have a fantastic day, everyone. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you next week on the next episode of Let's Fix Leadership.
Thanks for listening to Let's Fix Leadership. By hanging out with me today, you're already on your path. If you're looking to learn more and to see if your company is a good fit for our coaching and leadership education, then hey, visit 304coaching.com. If you got value out of this podcast, share it with a friend. And it would mean the world to me if you would leave a thoughtful review and a rating on iTunes. Thanks again for listening, and I appreciate your work in fixing leadership.